Hey everyone, and welcome to another Marks & Crafts figurine review, and today I think I have a problem. Now I know they aren't very visible and they don't all fit in frame, but these are the Ichiban Kuji, I think it's called Summer Dress version Quintessential Quintuplets figures. This is the second major figurine Kuji that they've done for quintuplets, and yeah, I had to buy the whole set again, didn't I? So let's get right into it. Now here they are all set up, and this is the Ichiban Kuji. I believe it's summer dress version. I will correct myself in the video description and the title of the video, but I'm pretty sure it's summer dress Ichiban Kuji, and they're all sort of described as one-piece dresses. But anyway, it's an Ichiban Kuji and the quintuplets figures. And I thought the aesthetic was pretty interesting. The other thing that I thought was pretty interesting was they don't look like their anime counterparts like at all, or even the manga counterparts. They really did their own unique style with this Kuji, and I wanted to see how they all turned out. And as you can see, it's a very diverse range of outfits and styles. So yeah, let's pretty much look at them one by one based on each of the quintuplets in the order that they go. So A, B, C, D, E, so oldest to youngest. So we'll start with Ichika. So general aesthetics of this figure are quite interesting. I quite like the general summer aesthetic, which is why I chose this set in particular. I'll probably go to face later, so let's just talk about general sculpt. Don't mind the pose. She leans forward pretty far, but I hope that the pegs in the base can hold her up. From this angle, the pose just looks kind of funky, but I guess she's leaning over and the wind's blowing her dress and all that. But yeah, it's a pretty nicely detailed dress. It is semi-transparent, so it's sort of like a foggy transparent, at least at the base. So you can kind of see detail underneath, and she's sort of bent forward so you can see some of her cleavage and body proportions, and it's pretty nice. I know that I said that they went with their own aesthetic for the faces, but I'm not a big fan of the aesthetic that they chose for the faces, because I think that I was a bit spoiled on the Corfu line because I've reviewed them just before these. And I don't really like the faces. I really don't like the eye for Ichika. It's very bland. I do like that the hair seems to be two tones of pink. Not really a big fan of the expression. The blush isn't really there. The hat is really, really well detailed though. It's shaded, so there's some nice detail and weathering on it. I like the little texturing and all the sort of straw bits, so it gives an effect that it's real. And also the nice little ring of flowers and this sort of weathered bow and ribbons on it. And it's really nice. Ichika typically has the best aesthetic out of the quintuplets, and this figure is quite nice. The base is cute, things like that, but quite simple. All of the quintuplets in this set have the same design base or very similar design bases. But yeah, I think this, out of all the Ichikas I've looked at, this looks the least like Ichika, and probably the least impressive dress out of this set, I'd say, or the least impressive figure out of this set. So let's move on to Nino. So here's Nino quickly set up. She does require just a tiny bit more assembly than the Ichika, which was just plug her on the base. This Nino requires this stand to help the dress. I guess that there's some quality control issues, especially since she doesn't really fit on her peg that well. Like you can see, she fits on one peg perfectly fine, but the other one isn't really working, so I guess that holds the dress apart because it's multi-layered. The basket is a separate piece and nicely detailed. It's textured like Ichika's hat, and it's got nice folds in the lunch that she's probably prepared in there. The dress is a pretty simple design, but it flows very nicely, and the paint is pretty consistent on it. The buttons in the front are pretty hidden, I'd say. They might appear better on camera, but it's very hard to see in person. Her necklace is nice. Her expression's cute. And this is season 2 design, so she's got shorter hair, but it's kind of hard to tell that it's Nino if you weren't told already. And have a better look at her face. So they've gone with a much slimmer design of face for this aesthetic and things like that. The eyes, yeah, again, they're not really capturing the character at all. And they don't match the color scheme of the characters that much. Like, this doesn't really scream Nino to me, but like, I guess it's okay seeing as all the quintuplets use pretty bright colors, like pretty bright and whitish colors in this set, but that also makes it harder to determine who's who, or really like give a lot of personality beyond they're all wearing different dresses and have slightly different hair colors. Her body proportions look nice, but yeah, she could just be a regular anime character in a summer dress. I don't really think this one's screams who it is. Same as the Ichika. Ichika looked almost like someone else cosplaying as Ichika almost. And this looks like someone that isn't Nino but could be Nino. So yeah, we'll move on to Miku. Now, out of the full set, I would say Miku looks the most like who she should. Her hair matches the design consistently. Her dress is a bit of a washed out color, but there are blue aesthetics to it. Blue accents to it, so it looks like who she should. Again, a foggy white dress, so you can see some detail inside. Oh, it's like a foggy cream, but you can see some detail. There's some nice different colors, catch the light pretty well. This bow at the front is well detailed. Her hat looks nice. It's got a lot of painters on top, but you never see it. I like the wide rim on the front. I love how it sits on her hair. Her hair is like, I think it's two tones as well as transparent, which is weird because none of the other hair really feels like it's got that transparent feel, but this has carried over some aesthetics from the Quaffle line, which is weird because this is made by Bandai Spirits and Ben Presto. But her expression looks right, her hair is the right color, and the sort of wideness of her face and the look of her face, I think that is definitely like Miku. Which is interesting because like the other two haven't really looked like who they should so far, but Miku looks like Miku just wearing a summer dress. So I think she definitely stands out so far, so that's really nice. It's a pretty well detailed figure, and I didn't go through it with the Nino either, but yeah, they pretty much have the exact same base, and this one sits on the base rather nicely. So now it's Yotsuba. Now Yotsuba, when I saw previews online of this figure, I probably thought she looked the best. She doesn't specifically look like Yotsuba, but I liked the aesthetic enough, and she looks cheeky and excited and things like that. I like that look. The dress is probably the nicest out of the lot. I like the clear yellow and the dress underneath. The polka dots look good. The top looks nice. She's got a little bow on her wrist as well as her iconic bow up top. They could have probably detailed the bow a bit more, like in terms of like elongating it, because it is a bit scrunched up and sort of loses a bit of her like unique aesthetic in that, but generally pretty good. I like her little dynamic pose. And then we'll go closer to her face, and you can probably see what I mean. She's cheeky and happy. Her eyes look okay. Her hair looks nice, but it is nowhere near what the anime sort of dictated her hair looks like. It's more pinkish than it is orangey, which is fine because I prefer the sort of manga style that everyone looks much closer. Everyone's much harder to differentiate than they are in the anime, which is very easy at first glance. But yeah, I don't mind that choice, but it seems like inconsistent with the rest of the line because Ichika's hair's on point and Miku's is on point, but Nino's and Yotsuba's is not. So it's a bit weird. But yeah, she looks good. I just don't think she really looks like Yotsuba. As a figure by itself, I think she's probably the strongest out of the line, but as a quintuplets figure, definitely Miku seems to be hitting all the right notes. But yeah, she's good. Now, lastly, we'll go to Itsuki. Now, Itsuki is another one where I don't think her expression suits who she is, and neither does her hair. She looks almost like a more mature quintuplet, like any of them, rather than like a summer going out dress. But she's probably got one of the more elaborate outfits for just like a picnic type thing. But she looks really nice. It's almost like a fancy dress outfit. Her hair's all tied up. The color's very pink, whereas in the anime it's very red. The stars look okay. I think they went too metallic on them. The expression looks a bit funky, especially the angle of her head. The waves pretty subdued, and her basket looks pretty well detailed. It's all right. This whole ribbon thing is really, really impressively made. It's multiple tones, multiple colors, multiple little details, and pretty good paint application. The flow of the dress is quite nice and everything like that. I just don't think it really matches the rest of the set. Yeah, also she doesn't fit on her base correctly. Unless you force it. I did not want to force it. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame. That's probably just my copy, but yeah. Bit of a shame. Yeah, like even that necklace, it looks like she's going out somewhere. It's like she should be wearing pearls and things like that. Yeah, I don't know about this one matching the rest of the aesthetic. It's another nice figure, but it's not a great figure. Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? I think I might just like line them up based on rankings of how good I think the figure is. So let's get Miku's number 1. Yotsuba's probably number 2. Ichika's probably 3. Nino's 4. And Ichika's 5. So left to right, probably my ranking of how good the figures are. Miku looks like Miku. Yotsuba channels some of her energy and is just a nice figure. And then they sort of go down from there. I like the Nino, but it doesn't look like Nino. Things like that. They're not bad figures by any means. It's just that I'm sort of ranking them based on how I feel they are to, like how accurate they are to the series itself. So yeah, they're okay. They're not too great. But if you wanted a quick set of figures that are in unique outfits and all look visually distinct from one another, it's a pretty damn good set to get. But I would still prefer the Quaffles over these ones. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you all next time.